morning, this is Francesca Evans from LymeOnline bringing you all of this week's top stories from the local area. Lyme Regis lost out on bringing an historic letter by famous fossil hunter Mary Anning home this week as it sold at auction for a staggering £100,800. An ambitious online appeal launched by the Jurassic Coast Trust and Lyme Regis Museum raised more than £21,500 in just 24 hours, but it was still not enough to secure the artefact as bids soared in the last few minutes of auction. The unpublished letter, written by Lyme Regis' most famous daughter, was sold by auction on the Sotheby's website this week. It was expected to reach between £8,000 and £12,000, but eventually sold for more than 8 times this amount. Written in 1829, Mary Anning sent the letter to her friend and collaborator William Buckland, describing her latest discoveries on the Jurassic Coast, including a plesiosaur that is now housed at the Natural History Museum in London. The staggering selling price is said to have proved the level of international interest in Anning, which is likely to be further bolstered by the release of Ammonite, a movie based on the fossil hunter's life, which was partially filmed in Lyme Regis and stars award-winning actresses Kate Winslet and Saoirse Ronan. The film is due to hit cinemas next year. It's been a busy week for emergency services in Lyme Regis, with multiple call-outs to those making the most of the beach and coastline. Lyme Regis lifeboat crew were launched on Monday afternoon to assist the local fire and rescue service, following reports that 3 people had been cut off by the tide east of the town's harbour. The group could not be found and the lifeboat crew were quickly stood down. That evening, Coast Guards were called to help a 13-year-old boy who had dislocated his knee on the beach. They were then called out early on Tuesday morning to assist a 74-year-old man who had lost consciousness on the seawall to the east of the town. Later on Tuesday, the lifeboat crew were called out again to an unusual emergency involving another lifeboat. The former ship's lifeboat, named the Griffin, was suffering from engine trouble near Seaton and was escorted back to the safety of Lyme Regis Harbour. The lifeboat crew and Coast Guards were then tasked with helping a man who had suffered from back injuries on a boat in heavy seas. For emergencies on the coast, cliffs or tidal river, you should always call 999 and ask for the Coast Guard. Dorset Council has said it is holding active discussions with Lyme Regis Town Council over the future of the Tourist Information Centre. The statement came after a public consultation showed overwhelming support for the retention of the Tourist Information Centre, which is currently under threat of closure. The facility is run by Dorset Council for an estimated cost of £87,000 a year, but it is housed in Guildhall Cottage, which is owned by Lyme Regis Town Council. The Town Council has terminated the centre's lease as it intends to extend its own offices, and Dorset Council has said retaining the service as it is not a viable option. Town Clerk John Wright said the 2 councils are now working together to find a sustainable outcome which will benefit the whole town. The printed LymeOnline newspaper is being relaunched today after a 20-week hiatus during the coronavirus lockdown. Publication of the free fortnightly newspaper was put on hold due to the financial effects of the pandemic, but a 32-page bumper edition is out today and will be available to pick up at various local outlets. The LymeOnline team will also be handing out free papers on Lyme Regis Seafront this weekend, so please come along and say hello. In local sport, in-form batsman Tyler Wellman has written himself into the folklore of Uplyme and Lyme Regis Cricket Club, scoring 2 consecutive centuries and steering the club to the top of their Devon Mini-League. Tyler hit an undefeated century in the club's first mini-league game at home to Ottery St Mary's Seconds, getting his 100th run off the very last ball of the over. He then did it again away to Old Foes Axminster last Saturday with another undefeated century in a 20-points victory, helped along with 97 runs from Joe Ellsworth, his highest score for the club so far. It is thought that Tyler is the first player to hit consecutive centuries in Uplyme's long history. Tomorrow, Uplyme are at home to Honiton, a fixture which might well decide who goes through to the knockout finals in September. There is still no definite news when the local football season will start. Devon and Exeter League officials were meeting the Devon FA last evening, and it is expected an announcement will be made over the next 3 days. Uplyme struggled last season to field 11 players every week, with one of the youngest sides in the Perry Street League, but the tide could be turning for the East Devon village, with more than 30 players regularly turning up for training under new manager Steve Gillen. It is rumoured that the club may field 2 sides this season, with an application for one of them to play in the Devon and Exeter League. And finally, this weekend would have hosted one of the biggest events of the Lyme Regis calendar, the annual Carnival procession, which always brings out huge crowds of residents and visitors alike. Many will have been missing the seaside fun and games this week, so here's a few photos from regatta and carnival weeks gone by to see us out. Thanks for watching.